Ready? Start. Well before Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman rose to present the interim budget for 2024 to 25, there were indications as to what its focus would be. Doubts that this would be anything more than a vote on account had been settled when Prime Minister Narendra Modi publicly declared that when polls are this close, the government presents an interim budget, and went on to say with confidence of a victory in the polls, we will bring a full budget when a new government is formed. Meanwhile, an interim economic survey innocuously titled The Indian Economy a Review has presented a survey of post-independence economic development with a periodization that divides those years into the pre- and post-Modi government eras in language reflective of an electioneering pamphlet peppered with the Prime Minister's own assessments of his government's record. The document concludes that the decade 2014 to 24 was one of transformative growth. Periods of significant or even higher episodes of growth prior to that transformative decade are identified as wanting on the grounds that such growth either left structural challenges unaddressed or was the result of an unsustainable credit boom that damaged the banking sector. Given this background, it was to be expected that the budget speech would be a vocal expression of this eulogy of the two governments of the last 10 years. For years, part A of the budget speech has been a tiresome recounting of policies already adopted and to be adopted, many of which have little to do with the issues of resource mobilization and allocation and the strategy they signal, which must be the actual concern. That has been true of this year's interim budget as well, which focused on all the welfare schemes in areas varying from housing to food, which have been largely attributed to the Prime Minister. It is another matter that the Prime Minister has in the past dismissed such schemes as representatives of a rewadi sweet gifts culture when implemented by non Bharatiya Janata Party BJP state governments, with the interim budget being identified as a more vote on account. Part B of the speech was a declaration that while pursuing consolidation in the sense of achieving periodically revised fiscal deficit to GDP ratios, the government will be stepping up spending on infrastructure and welfare in the circumstances. What can be assessed from the detailed budget documents is the fiscal performance of the center in the current rather than text financial year 2023 to 24. Even that exercise is fraught with difficulty because the practice of presenting budgets on February 1 adopted in recent years has meant that revised estimates for the financial year incorporate projects relating to most of the last quarter of the financial year extending to March 31. Stop. ज़्यादा नहीं